Ukrainians throughout the world recalled the 4th anniversary of the blatant violation of the UN Charter, the Helsinki Act of 1975, and the international order, which includes the respect of the territorial integrity of independent states in order to ensure security and stability in the world. Indeed, on February 20th, 2014, the world witnessed in shock the invasion of Crimea by little green men, the illegal occupation of Crimea, which has now lasted over 1,400 days, the brutal Russification, the sham referendum on annexation, and the dangerous militarization of Crimea. How is it on the ground for those who do not recognize the Russian annexation? Those are subjected to threats, disappearances, illegal detentions, charges of terrorism. The Ukrainian filmmaker from Crimea who was arrested in 2014 and sentenced to 20 years in prison on trumped-up charges of plotting a terrorist act. But they also include Volodymyr Balul, a Ukrainian farmer and civil activist who reportedly posted a Ukrainian flag over his house in Crimea and participated in pro-Ukrainian rallies. He was arrested because the occupational authorities found, and I say found in quotation, firearms and ammunition in his house. He was sentenced to 3 years and 7 months in prison. After the invasion, are franchised from exercising their political and civic rights. They are blocked from access to social services, including public health care, owning property, or finding legal employment. Another component of this brutal Russification is the suppression of the Ukrainian language. Today, there's not one single school that remained out of the 600 that were offering full curricula in the Ukrainian language. The Human Rights Watch also reports that in the 3 years of Crimean occupation, the number of students studying in Ukrainian has fallen dramatically from 13,589 in 2013 to only 371 in 2016. In April 2017, the International Court of Justice issued an injunction against the Russian Federation on the basis that such educational suppression can lead to irreparable prejudice to the rights of ethnic Ukrainians in Crimea, and unanimously ordered Russia to ensure the availability of education in the Ukrainian language. I will not surprise you by saying that the Russian Federation blatantly disregarded that decision. The Russian Federation is also blocking access for monitoring by international human rights watchdogs. Currently, only one international institution, the Office of the United Nations High Commissioner for Human Rights, issues quarterly reports on the human rights situation in Crimea within the framework of the Human Rights Monitoring Mission in Ukraine, active since March 2014. The reports are developed from mainland Ukraine, since access to Crimea for the international and human rights monitoring organizations and the media has been denied by the Russian Federation. Not surprisingly, the Russian Federation is also squeezing out independent media. Crimean Tatar channel ATR was forced to shut down in April 2015 by the occupying Russian authorities under the pretext of failing to register under Russian law. Many other independent media outlets and NGOs that did not agree with the policies of the Russian occupation authorities similarly had to shut down. In their place, the de facto Russian authorities have given full access to the Russian state media with its fake news and indoctrination messages. The Russian Federation has also actively militarized Crimea by refurbishing old Soviet military bases and building new ones, which are supplied with the latest weaponry and equipment. The shores are being fortified and new military airfields created. The number of Russian troops on the Crimean Peninsula is currently estimated at 60,000, with the immediate potential for a twofold increase. In 2017, 5,000 Crimeans were drafted into the Russian army. The physical militarization also includes militarization of public opinion and the cultivation of hatred against Ukrainians in the media. The Ukrainian World Congress is concerned, first, with the illegal occupation of Crimea, but also with the defeatist attitude of the West to the effect that Crimea is, quote-unquote, lost, which compromises the sacrosanct principle in international law regarding the territorial integrity of independent states. As soon as we make one exception to that rule, it is no longer a sacrosanct principle. The Ukrainian World Congress is also concerned with the militarization of Crimea. The Russian Federation announced that Crimea is one of the main geopolitical priorities of the Russian Federation. Not surprisingly, since the Russian Federation influence and destabilization is an important component of its hybrid war, and Crimea enables it to have access to the whole Black Sea region. The Ukrainian World Congress is concerned with the blatant daily human rights violations and the fact that there is not one international organization in Crimea monitoring the situation there, and unfortunately, very few reporting at all the violations in Crimea. The Ukrainian World Congress is concerned with the policy of appeasement advocated by some countries and leaders. I read a statement by Winston Churchill that said that an appeaser is one who feeds a crocodile hoping it will eat him last. I witnessed last month an extraordinary event where after 4 years of blatantly violating every single resolution of the Council of Europe, the Russian Federation blackmailing the Council of Europe by stating that it will not pay its part of the budget if the Council of Europe not only withdraws the sanctions against the Russian Federation, but modifies its statute in order